In today's tutorial we're going to be working on this cell phone or this electronic case cover, and this is using DarnGoodYarn, and this is quite magnificent. So your cell phone or your BlackBerry or your iPhone, anything can go inside this pouch, or anything else that you desire. This is just a polymer bead, but you could just use a button if you wished, and all you just need to do is just put it and snap it into position just like that. So the yarn that we're using is by DarnGoodYarn. You can use other yarns if you prefer as well, if you don't have this yarn in stock, but this stuff is recycled Sari silk, and this is called Luxe Adventure, and this is actually hand spun, if you can imagine that, over by women in the Middle East, and it's just really quite magnificent stuff. It is so soft, it's not even funny. Very artistic looking, very simple, and what we've used on the outside for the trim is the Bernat Handicrafter, and it's really quite thin, and you'll need a different size hook for that. So today, get out your size K hook or 6.5 millimeter. You're going to need a pen probably just to check off the directions, probably need some scissors, and for the directions you can either go to my website at thecrochetcrowd.com. You can get that there. It's called the cell phone case cover free crochet pattern, or you can go to AllFreeCrochet.com, and the more information for this particular pattern will be inside the video information here on YouTube. So let's get started, and let's begin working on the cell phone case cover. What we have to do is, when you get this in the mail, it's actually going to be like a hank, and so basically I just have to unhank it and make it into a ball, and what I just do is I get a bowl and I put it inside, so therefore it can continue to roll inside the bowl without having to roll everywhere. I failed to mention that another piece of equipment you're going to need for this tutorial is a stitch marker, and this will just help you keep count of your revolutions. So let's begin, and put down my pen and do a slip knot as normal. Okay, so you're going to see some imperfections in this yarn. That's the characteristics of make it so amazing. So let's get the slip knot just like so, and this doesn't ever count as one, so let's begin. So 1, 2, you want 14 by the way, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And you can just see, like, there was thinner and thick parts in this stuff. Absolutely just amazing. I love that because of it. It's just so characteristic to itself. So here we are. I want you to pinch down at the bottom, and I want you to chain 1. So 1, and right where you're pinching, where you just did, is your first stitch. So come in. We're going to do a single crochet all the way back. So just come right in, pull through, and through. Okay, so the imperfections of this yarn are going to be really interesting to work with. It just makes it very desirable. So what I want you to do is single crochet yourselves all the way back. I'm going to assume if you're looking at this tutorial that you're familiar with how to single crochet, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. But single crochet all the way back to the other side and hold for me, because we're going to be working differently when it comes to doing this pouch in consideration to how other stuff is crocheted. So I'll meet you back in just a second. So I've now gone all the way back. Okay, so this is what it's looking like, and the pouch is actually one solid piece. So what we just need to do is that you need to turn around, but instead of turning around and coming back in the same direction just like you see here, we're going to come down through the opposite side. Okay, so instead of going back on the normal side this way, we're going to turn it upside down. So now you're just going to see just one single crochet, like one particular line underneath, just like so. Okay, and we want to single crochet that instead. Okay, so what we're doing is we're actually going in a complete circle. So you'll be able to see it as you work your way across. So just go to the next one, and you're just single crocheting on the one string only. Okay, so do that all the way across, and we'll meet back up and we'll begin the rest of this tutorial. Now we've come all the way back. Okay, so this is where we were before, and we came around, and then we just went directly around. Okay, so now this is the very last one, so what I have to do is I have to slip stitch it to the top of the other side, just like so, and this is where I want to put in this stitch marker. So if you don't have a stitch marker, just make something, whether it's a piece of string in a position, and then you know every time you pass that bad boy that you're going to be able to do a great job. So I want you to chain 1. Okay, and this is actually step number 3 in the pattern, and we're going to be single crocheting ourselves all the way around till we get back to that stitch marker. So now that you've done everything that you've done right, you just have to just follow along. Okay, so every time you pass that stitch marker, you're going to make sure that you count that as 1. So after this rotation, you have to do this same step 9 more times to build yourself all the way up. And so because you're not growing the material like the top of a hat, this is going to cause like a pocket to form, okay, which is your pouch. Okay, I just want to take you to the end where we're going to just show you, where I mean me. Okay, so just look carefully, just follow. So you just follow, see how the stitches are starting to turn around and come back down the other side? That you just got to follow that. So you're not adding in extra stitches. Okay, just keep following it as you go. And it's naturally wanting to turn around because you're following it. The stuff is really soft to work with, by the way. Very artistic looking. I could see something like this at a higher end craft sale, or even an artisan's featured store, those kind of stores, because of the quality of the yarn. So we're now coming all the way back. You can start to see on this side here that it's starting to bend inward, which is the inner part of the pocket. The stitch marker did fall off. I just noticed that. I don't know when it fell off, but it did. But I do remember that this is going to be the starting point again. Okay, so now instead of stopping and casting on or doing your slip stitch, what I want you to just do is just keep going around in a circle. So do that 9 more times and just put that stitch marker back into position. When you do a slip stitch, it sometimes leaves a line, where what we're going to just do is just continue to go in a circle over and over and over 9 more times. So we'll meet back up where I will have that done, and we'll start the flap area. So only a few minutes later, you actually have your pocket, and I'm just finishing up the 9th repeat on this. And what I want to do is that, because I've been going around and around in a circle, do you see how you end up having an edge just like so? So where you're finding the actual stitch marker, the final 3, 1, 2, and 3, you're going to want to put in a slip stitch instead, and that will balance out that to make it more even looking. So just right in, pull through and through. Okay, right in, pull through and through, and right in, pull through and through, and therefore you end up with a nice flat area. So what I want you to do at this point is that I want you just to fold it out flat, just like so. And this is what we need to determine where the flap is going to start, because sometimes where you think the side might be, you just got to fold it out like this, because what you want to do now is go back and forth all the way up, just like that. So let's begin that process. So let's begin to do the flap. We're going to turn this, and we're just going to single crochet ourselves until the point where your flaps will equal the same on both sides. Okay, so I'm not going to give you a stitch count because you may have lost stitches along the way. We are going to chain up 1, okay, and we're going to single crochet ourselves all the way back to the other side. Make sure that you remember that when you go up 1 level in single crochet that you started off right exactly where you needed to. So again, I'm assuming that if you're watching this video that you're already familiar. The first few stitches will be a little bit tough, like you can see me doing here. I'm trying to deny it, but I'm not. I'm not doing too well at it. And the reason for that is that where you've slip stitched, it provided a really tighter level of a stitch. And that's fine, because that's what you needed it to do. It's just in the beginning it's kind of tough. So just working your way back. And again, you don't have to count, you just have to eye it up at this point. That's part of the artistic creativity and making it your own at this particular point. So I think I'm close. Let me just fold it flat and just see if the flap matches both sides. and it does. Okay, so you can see that the flap is coming up on one side, it's coming up on the other, so when it comes over it's going to be good. So now what I need you to do is that I need to repeat that 2 more times. So let's begin again. So just chain 1, and remember we're going to go exactly into the same chain that you started with, or the same stitch that you chained that one in. That's just the way the single crochet works. That's kind of what I was referring to earlier. I know it's kind of difficult to see the stitches on this particular project, but sometimes when I substitute the yarn out, it just doesn't give the tutorial justice for a real true feel to how the yarn will operate. So it's, we're just going to go all the way back, okay, and I want you to get all the way back and then come and go all the way back across. Okay, so we're just repeating the last step 2 more times. Okay, so come back and then repeat back and going back and forth. Okay, hopefully that makes any sense. Refer to the directions if you're confused at this point. I think I might need to as well. So I'll see you in just a second when we finish off the next layer that we're going to do above. Okay, we're now finished that section that I was just having you all confused of. Okay, so you had 3 layers of going back and forth, and just like the original, it actually appears to be a triangle, and this is what we're going to do next. Okay, so the first 2 stitches we have to join them together. So just chain 1, and we're going to go into the first stitch, okay, which is right directly underneath, and then we go into the next one. Okay, and this is 2 together 1. That's what this is. So this would be 2 together single crochet. So now we're going to single crochet ourselves all the way over, and then on the final 2 we want to do 2 together. Okay, this is called 2 together decrease. I absolutely love this yarn. I just love the nature of the hand spun to it, the color coordination. It's because it's recycled, you don't know where this has been, and that's part of the charm. It's like you own a piece of history, even though you don't know what the history is, but the item will have a story. So in the final 2 stitches that you see, we want to do 2 together 1. So go in, pull through, go into the next one, pull through, and then pull through all 3, and that will start to begin. You can see it's already starting to pull in, and the other one is beginning to pull into it. You just can't really see it yet. So we turn, okay, and we just have to do this again. Okay, so we want to do that again 2 more times. So I'm going to just show you quickly. So just chain 1, go into the stitch where you started, go into the next one, pull through, and then pull through all 3, and then that makes 2 together 1. Single crochet all the way over, and then on the final 2 you do the 2 together 1 like I've already showed, and then I want you to repeat that 1 more time. Okay, so now that we're done that, we now move on to lesson number 6, okay, of the flap of the directions, and we want to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and we're switching now for the first time to double crochet, and the reason for it is that this button here is actually going right through a double crochet line. So we wanted to do 2 together 1, so we're just going to go into the next one, pull through the 2 and hold, the next one, pull through 2 and hold, and then pull through all 3, and we want to double crochet ourselves all the way across. Okay, and then on the final 2 we want to do 2 together decrease, just like we were doing before with the single crochet. We are almost done this project, by the way, just so you know. I got 3 stitches left. I know it's very difficult to tell that on the camera, I'm not going to deny that, but this is the final 2. So we pull through and hold, go into the next one, pull through and hold, and then pull through all 3. And see, you can see the triangle really came in on that, and now we want to do it again 1 more time. So chaining up 3, 2, 3, and 2 together. Okay, so going into the next one, pulling through, pull through 2 and hold, next one, in, pull through 2 and hold. You have 3 on your hook, pull through all 3 and single crochet yourself across, and then on the final 2 we are going to do the 2 together decrease, just like we've already done. Okay, I'm just looking where all the stitching is. got one more to go. So in, okay, and hold, and then into the final, and hold, and then pull through, and then that's it. So that is the actual bottom. See how fast that grew? So now we want to cast this off a nice clean thing, so we're just get our scissors. Okay, and we're going to pull that through, and we're just going to tie that off really nicely and weave in the edge, and then you will not see it. And then the next part that we need to do is that we need to do a border. So you'll need some crochet thread with that. You can use thicker yarn if you wish. I find the thinner is a little more elegant looking, but that's up to you. So at this particular point you have your straggler hanging off, so you can actually just trim that a little bit nicer if you want to, just a little bit shorter. And what I would recommend is that you turn this thing inside out. Therefore that straggler will be permanently lost in there, and you have a nice edge on both sides. Okay, isn't that looking better already? So now the flap will just come over just like that. So you can have a choice. You can either leave the flap the way that it is, or you can decorate it to give it more definition, just like you see in the background. So let's begin to do the next process. And what I've got here is my Bernat Handicrafter yarn. It's got a little bit of glitter added to it, and I just want to create a slip knot. I'm going to grab a 2.5mm crochet hook and creating a slip knot, and all I want to just do is just do a little bit of fringing. Okay, so I'm just going to start in. I'm not going to go all the way around the front part of the pocket area. I'm just going to stay on the outside. And one thing I noticed, because this yarn is so thin, I don't want to I have to make sure that you can actually see it. So I'm just casting on at this particular point. Okay. So every time I go in, I always put in 2 in the identical spot. Okay. So you just have to even it out, just working your way across the side of the pocket. So every time you go in, you just put in 2. So it's just enough to define it without being so much that it's just overkill. So just do that all the way around, just evenly space it. If you don't think it's even, you can obviously pull it out and retry again. So do that, and we'll meet back up where we'll do the next step. Okay, so now I just finished the perimeter of just the flap. You can see just like there. Isn't that pretty cool? So now you can either leave it just a flap, just like that, or you can add a little bead. In this case, I'm going to add a little love bead to it. Now with yours, you might want to sew on your bead or your button, but in my case, what I just want to do is that I'm going to actually just, you want to attach it down to the bottom one there, and I'm just going to put in some wire. This is jeweler wire that you would see when I do all my tutorials for for making bracelets. Okay, so just like that, and I'm just going to wing it on the inside. So I think if I were to do it a little more carefully, I would actually make sure that I was actually sewing the button onto place. It just has a nicer effect, I believe, too. Okay, and I want to make sure it is in the center, and then I just want to attach it just like so. Okay, so obviously you've got to take a little more time with that, and then what happens is, because we did the actual double crochet at the end, all we just need to do is just put the bead, and the bead will actually just slide. Sorry, it'll just, I don't even mean to laugh, I'm just laughing at myself. The bead will just slide through. So if that was sewed a lot better, the bead will slide right on through, and therefore you have your completed electronic or cell phone case cover. And this is by DarnGoodYarn.com. Again, you can substitute out the yarn if you don't have this kind of yarn in stock, but overall just a really magnificent project, and it makes for a great gift.